Back in 2018, when Real Madrid had only just completed a hat-trick of Champions League titles, star player Cristiano Ronaldo decided to end his 9-year spell at the Santiago Bernabeu. While it was a shocking move, it shouldn't have come as a real surprise, since the legendary Portuguese forward had won pretty much everything there was to be won in Spain. So after winning 2 La Liga titles and 4 Champions Leagues, the multiple-time Ballon d'Or winner signed for Juventus, an emerging giant of European football, eager to rule the continent and then the world, under the guidance of one of the most decorated players in the game's history. Initially, Ronaldo stated that he needed a change of scenery and therefore requested Madrid to allow him to leave. These have been 9 of the most absolutely marvellous years. They have been 9 unique years. This for me has been a very emotional time, full of deliberating, although difficult because Real Madrid is at a very demanding and high level, but I know very well that I will never forget that here I have enjoyed football in a unique way. Many thought that Ronaldo would never leave Real Madrid and would in fact retire there. However, if you look at his career, you would know that the legendary forward does want to deal with things on his own terms. He was only starting out at Sporting Club de Portugal when Manchester United came calling. Sir Alex Ferguson wanted him bad, and the young winger wanted the same thing. And after guiding United to one of their most glorious eras, he left for Real Madrid, a club he'd always wanted to play for. Later on, it was Madrid's turn to bid their farewell. Ronaldo decided to swap Madrid for Juventus in a move that sent shockwaves across the globe. Many offered a lot of different views on this, and many still find it difficult to comprehend as to why Ronaldo would take such a step after a successful European campaign with the Spaniards. However, it does appear that Ronaldo made the right call to leave Real Madrid. In fact, we dare say that the Great One must have seen that the club was ready for a testing period of transition. Ronaldo's presence in the squad was barely covering all the cracks that had already started to appear within the institution. For nearly a decade, both Ronaldo and Lionel Messi defined the league, competing every single year with one another for all the best individual accolades. Their rivalry made the league better and added a new element to the Clásico. In 2018, Ronaldo knew that the good times were well and truly behind him. It was becoming clear that President Florentino Perez no longer considered him an indispensable member of the starting 11. The player himself knew that he was not getting any younger. Whatever you might call it, arrogance or misplaced faith in the existing players or plain old stupidity, Madrid never made any efforts to convince their legendary forward to stay on. Ronaldo had stopped feeling loved by the club's management, but was in an enviable position where there was always a powerhouse waiting in the wings to sign him up and offer a lucrative contract. While Madrid did get €100 million for their star player, in the grand scheme of things, was that amount ever going to be enough to replace him? Well, that's what the Madrid hierarchy thought. Los Blancos knew that they needed a player or two in order to replace Ronaldo's goals. Good money was paid to bring in Luka Jovic, and even more was paid to sign Eden Hazard from Chelsea. As it turns out, both men have fallen well short of matching the Portugal international's exploits, with Jovic becoming an afterthought and the Belgian spending more time on the treatment table than on the pitch. To be honest, there will never be an adequate replacement for players like Ronaldo or Messi. Within a year of losing their talismanic forward, Madrid saw Zinedine Zidane leave as well. Without a Galactico, Madrid have never been the same, even though the Frenchman has returned and guided them to a league title last season. Madrid were definitely due an overhaul. The club's president and his general director, José Ángel Sánchez, had already recognised the need for that. Indeed, in recent years, the club's overall transfer policy had actually revolved around the need to reduce the squad's average age. The likes of Marco Asensio, Dani Ceballos, Álvaro Odriozola, and Vinicius Jr. were brought in order to cater to that need. The core group that helped the team dominate Europe 3 years in a row had to be broken up at some point. This summer, Gareth Bale was loaned out to Tottenham, and we're definitely not far from the day when the likes of Luka Modric and Toni Kroos would also leave the club, and Ronaldo, despite his stature, recognised the club's eventual need for that to happen. The Portuguese star would have wanted to stay, but when it comes to football clubs, there's never a lot of ideal circumstances. Therefore, the former Man United man decided to seek a new adventure. Ronaldo decided to choose Italy, and Juventus in particular, for many different reasons. Italian tax laws are very favourable for foreign players. This means that Ronaldo could keep a major portion of his salary, something he wouldn't have enjoyed had he stayed in Spain or decided to return to England. Moreover, the style of play in the Italian Serie A seems to suit players in the latter stages of their playing careers. Juventus had been the dominant team in Italy for a long time and had a vision of becoming a global brand. That aligned well with the players' wishes as well. Unlike Messi, who patiently waited for things to improve, Ronaldo made a rather swift decision. At Barcelona, the club's management kept on making transfer market blunder after another. New players came in and disappointed in varying degrees, but Messi didn't say a word. It was in fact the much publicised humiliation at the hands of Bayern Munich in the Champions League, where the forward made the decision to hand in his transfer request. In hindsight, this was a mistake. While the Barcelona empire kept crumbling around him, Messi stood there hoping for things to improve. Only when it became abundantly clear that he was guiding a sinking ship did Messi decide to pack up and leave. It could have been a lot different had he taken this decision swiftly, because then he also would have been in a strong position to review all the mouth-watering offers he would have had in front of him. At Juventus, despite his age, Ronaldo is still the main man. He's already won enough silverware domestically and still has a chance to win the Champions League once again. We're not sure if it'll ever happen, but recent form in Europe does seem to suggest that he now has a better chance of winning the trophy at Juventus than his former employers have. One thing that can eventually become too much for players is the constant jeering from their own fans. In recent years, the Madridistas have developed a rather negative habit of booing their own players. A lot of players have found themselves being jeered by the fans, and Ronaldo was one of those players on many occasions. Despite achieving so much for the club in his 9 years there, it was never good to hear those jeers. The club's fans can be demanding, which is understandable, but being borderline disrespectful is not the way to do things. Even after scoring an amazing hat-trick in the Champions League game against Atletico in 2017, Ronaldo was booed and jeered by the club's fans. Now this is something we do find hard to believe and digest. At Juventus, we can be sure that Ronaldo is not going to receive such treatment even if he's not on song. Now that Andrea Pirlo is at the dugout, we can be sure to see Ronaldo being used much more wisely than by the previous manager. Pirlo, who also happened to be at the top of his game as a veteran, knows all too well about player management, especially when that player is in the twilight years of his career. The Italian legend has already said that he's going to manage Ronaldo's games this season. Now almost 36, you can't expect the legendary forward to be playing full throttle week in, week out. He will be given rest, and actually has been given time off regularly. Winning the league at present is going to be hard based on Juventus' initial struggles so far in the campaign, but you can be sure to see the club rely on their talismanic leader in Europe. At Madrid, Ronaldo would have been expected to play week in, week out regardless of his age. The Spaniards are always looking to win the title, and with all due respect to the Serie A, winning the league title in Spain is much more challenging. Now focused on going further in Europe, Juventus have shown a lot of flexibility in their approach and will continue giving their star man a few breaks here and there so as to avoid a potential scenario where Ronaldo would be forced to miss out on a European night due to injury. At Madrid, Ronaldo would always have been under immense pressure to deliver. Spanish media can be very unforgiving, and it's even more intense when it comes to Real Madrid or Barcelona. In Italy, however, the media tends not to get too carried away and does give players enough space. After years of playing under such a hostile environment, perhaps Ronaldo deserved some time away from such intense spotlight. Of course, it never truly goes away, but a bit of breathing space would definitely be appreciated more. Nonetheless, regardless of what happened, Cristiano Ronaldo would always be considered one of the greatest players in Real Madrid's history. A time comes when every club has to make arrangements for the impending departure of their best players. This is the truth of the game. Every club and player goes through this. It isn't an unheard of concept. Madrid wanted, and more importantly, needed, to slowly start moving towards a different direction. Ronaldo, on the other hand, felt the need to do something different. Both parties decided what was best for them. This wasn't even a bitter parting of ways. The association ended on good terms. Neither Ronaldo nor his former club has anything bad to say about one another. However, you have to give it to Ronaldo for his ability to look into the future and deciding that his time at the club was coming to an end when none of us saw that coming.